Is it in our nature to betray, or do we choose to sting the ones closest to us? Today, ancient Sage Saadi tells a story about the scorpion's birth, a tale of loyalty, trust, and the dark corners of human nature. It is said that the birth of a scorpion is unlike that of other creatures. When the young scorpion grows larger in its mother's belly, it begins to cut her from within, eventually creating an opening to free itself. This violent emergence is not only its introduction to life, but also its first act, a betrayal that costs its own mother her life. Upon hearing of this strange birth, a wise man, deep in contemplation, remarked that such an origin made perfect sense. He thought that if one were to consider the nature of the scorpion, how it is feared, how its presence causes others to recoil, it seemed only fitting that even from its earliest moment, it was capable of harm. The scorpion's very birth reflected its essence, harm inflicted without remorse. It was a creature born into a world where its first breath was tainted with cruelty, where its instinct was to sever even the most intimate of bonds. This beginning foretold a life marked by isolation, by distrust, and by the sting it carries within. The wise man reflected that in the world of humans there are those much like scorpions, people whose very nature seems to compel them toward malice. Such individuals are not loyal, not even to those who nurture them. They live by taking advantage of trust, cutting others deeply, leaving a trail of hurt. And just as everyone fears the scorpion and moves to crush it upon sight, these people too find themselves shunned and isolated, for who could ever trust a creature or a person that destroys the very one who gave it life? The wise always ponder this truth. It is necessary, he said, to recognize the essence of those around us, to understand whether they carry within them the seeds of compassion or the sting of betrayal. Human nature is complex. Some are noble, while others are innately cruel. It isn't always clear why this difference exists, but it is undeniable, and just as one would protect themselves from the sting of a scorpion, so too must one be cautious of those whose hearts are tainted by malice. In the end, it is not about labeling others, but about knowing when to protect oneself. Not everyone can change their nature, and sometimes it is wiser to keep a distance than to hope for what cannot be. Just as the scorpion never hesitates to sting, those who betray once are likely to betray again. It is an instinct born within them, a part of who they are, and so the story comes full circle. If a scorpion's first act in this world is to wound its own mother, should we not learn from this? The wise keep their distance, for they know a creature that cannot even be loyal to its own flesh will hardly ever be loyal to another. The question, then, is not just about others, but about ourselves. Are we, in our actions, capable of loyalty? Or do we, like the scorpion, carry within us the instinct to sting even those who have loved us most? The answer to this question reveals not only the nature of those around us, but the nature we choose to cultivate within ourselves.